Bergeron is Senior Vice President for Navy at Govini. He tells me how defense agencies can apply data to situations they might not think data will help them.
Great. Well, thanks so much again for having me on. So we at Govini approach data by thinking about how do we apply that data to the acquisition lifecycle. So we are a defense acquisition software company. And so what our premise is to say is, let's look at the supply chain, let's look at the science and technology piece, then let's look at those key areas that are kind of essential to the shipbuilding areas around production, so your new construction platforms, your sustainment, so your readiness and getting the maintenance right, and then your modernization. So think about all the modernization programs that go on within the destroyer, the DDG program, for instance, understanding those intersections. And so what we've been doing is taking our data and working with our clients within the Navy and across the DoD on getting a really essential look at the demand signals, the supplier illumination, down to the parts level. So if I can tell you all the different parts that this manufacturer makes and all the different systems that those parts go on across the entire Navy enterprise, I can start thinking about demand in a new and innovative way where I can aggregate demand across multiple different systems and multiple different programs. It's that application of data at scale, which a lot of times is tough to do in the government context because the way that we structure our program offices and the PEOs, the program executive offices, and the systems commands as a whole. And so what we try to do is break down those data silos to allow our customers to be able to see the whole breadth of the demand and the supply side.
Where have those data silos come from, and what are the most effective tools to break them down?
Well, we feel that the software is the most effective tool to breaking it down. So one is to get the data, but as you know, probably within any government program office, there's a lot of data. It's really great data. But if it's data at rest and other program offices or other syscoms can't see it, then you may not know. And so what you see is a lot of independent programs, whether they're in the sustainment phase or in the new construction phase, going to suppliers independently without a coordinated look. And so what we try to do is to say, let's take the data from here and let's take the data from here, match it with some of the commercial data that we bring around the kind of totality of these companies. So is this company working with the Army? Are they working with the Air Force? Are they working for the commercial sector? So kind of understand that context and be able to give them a more comprehensive context around these suppliers and to be able to break down those silos of data. Software is the only way to do that. What we've seen is that if we can get the software and get the data into the software, then you can enable the collaboration, you can enable those insights, and then you can enable action, most importantly, in taking remediation or investments in those areas where you spot that second and third tier supplier that is holding up the entire supply chain.
What kind of visibility do you get into the supply chain with that kind of information?
Incredible visibility down to the second, third, and beyond suppliers. We can see the subcontractors with the major primes, the shipbuilders, all those, all the way down to understanding what's coming into this country and tracing it back to the country of origin, especially as you're thinking about foreign risks and things like that, or just understanding how the interconnected web of the supply chain is for both understanding when you may be seeing delays for ports of entry, as well as just thinking about contingency scenarios and thinking about a longer term, how do you think about reshoring some things or outsourcing them?
We have about a minute left. How are agencies inside the government doing at making their data easily available to each other, to organizations like yours, in such a way that you can mash it up and get the kinds of answers out of it that you're talking about?
Well, the government is sometimes is difficult to get some of those things, or a challenge rather. That challenge is getting people that are innovators in that space and are willing to get to be told no a few times before they get that right answer. We think it's essential, though, is that bridging those data and breaking down those data silos requires people within the government who are really dedicated to what they do. We happen to have some very, very amazing sponsors who are working every single day to break down those data silos so they can see the breadth of what's going on in the supply chain across multiple different programs and across multiple different services.